Hello and welcome back to my channel. So if you are new here, thank you very much for coming. My name is Heather. I am a freelance viola player and I like to chat about all things freelance, self-employed, musician problems, all the rest of it. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please continue watching and subscribe, and there will be many more videos to come, hopefully, if people continue to enjoy them, which they seem to be so far, so you know, that's a win. This week's video is just a bunch of misconceptions that people have about musicians and the music industry in general. I messaged a few of my friends, both musicians and non-musicians, and a few people who I've just like had conversations with about this in the past, and it was really interesting, some of the stuff that came back, because a lot of people said the same kind of stuff, like the same things kept coming up again. So I thought it was definitely worth making a video about it and chatting about it, because some of them are like stuff which I have been hearing about for years, and it seems like a lot of people think it, and I don't really know why. I've noted a few of them down and let's get into it. So the first assumption was you all have perfect pitch. So straight off the bat, not true. Perfect pitch is actually a really rare ability, even amongst professional musicians. So perfect pitch is also known as absolute pitch, and it's the ability to be able to identify a note without a reference note. So for example, you could just go up to a piano, play a note, and somebody with absolute or perfect pitch would be able to tell you what that note is. So there's a lot of debate on whether this is a nature or a nurture kind of thing. It's generally believed to be a nature thing and you're born with it. It's sort of impossible to say in a lot of ways. I'm not an expert on it in any realm. I myself do not have perfect pitch. I have what is called relative pitch, which is what most musicians have. So for example, if you played a note on the piano, I couldn't tell you what that note was exactly, but if you played that note, say it was an E, and you played another E, but they weren't quite the same, I would be able to tell you that they were out of tune with each other. That's what most musicians have. That is something which absolutely is possible to improve on and get very good at. But do you have perfect pitch yet? No. So yeah, it's really rare, and yeah, not all of us have it, very few of us do. Some people with it say that it's actually a bit more of a curse than a blessing, because if something's out of tune, it can drive them absolutely nuts. But equally, it's quite cool. So, you know, I don't have it. Not bitter at all. So the next one that came up, and this came up a lot, was everyone comes from a super privileged background. This one's really hard because there is no getting away from the fact that music lessons and instruments are expensive. It's an expensive hobby if, you know, that's all it ever comes to. So it's really difficult to get away from the fact that that is the case. However, we are really lucky in this country that music lessons are widely available through schools. There's grants for this, there's funding, and it can be a lot cheaper than going for private lessons. However, this is also something which is massively under threat at the moment from cuts and basically people thinking that music is not the most important thing that a child could be doing. Obviously, I do not believe that that is true, and this is something which just makes my blood boil, but that's a whole other video and topic that I do not have time to get into now. So it is under threat, but most of the people that I work with do not come from any kind of privileged background. They come from working class backgrounds that came through music lessons in schools and have then worked their butts off and had just incredible amounts of determination and skill to become a professional musician. Obviously, there are a lot of people out there who do come from very privileged backgrounds. I would probably have to count myself as one of them. I had a lot of private music lessons growing up, and I am forever grateful for them. And I know other people who have also come from very privileged backgrounds. And if you go to specialist music schools, all that kind of stuff, that's expensive. But there are obviously scholarships and everything. So to be honest, it's a complete mixed bag, like any other industry. Yeah, okay. This one This one, I didn't know whether to take this personally when this came go through. I'm gonna choose not to, but it was classical musicians are really snobby. Now, to anyone who has encountered a snobby classical musician, because of course they exist, I want to, hand on my heart, apologise for that. No, we are not all like that. Please do not be put off by the people who have a refusal to listen to anything post 1800 and will yell at their friends for doing so. One of the privileges of working in the music industry is that you are exposed to a huge amount of really like high quality music writing and musicianship in general, and this can lead to a bit of an underappreciation for more well-known music or pop music, if you like, whatever. And for me, I actually really enjoy listening to pop music. I love Taylor Swift, and I'm very happy to declare that because I think she's amazing. A lot of classical musicians will probably go, really? At that? I don't care. She's an absolute girl boss, and quite frankly, you're just intimidated. Most musicians will happily listen to lots of different genres because, to be honest, if you only ever listen to classical music, I'd say it was exactly the same thing as somebody that only ever listens to pop music or only ever listens to garage music, only listens to rock music, whatever it is. If you only listen to one type of music, then like you're really missing out. So check out, widen your Spotify playlist. I've always wanted to go to a classical concert, but I'm scared I won't know what to do, i.e. clapping in the wrong place or wearing the wrong thing. This made me sad, because if you've not gone to a concert that you really wanted to go to because of these reasons, then we as the classical music industry need to sort our lives out. Anyway, this one again came up from, I think like 4 or 5 people I asked said this exact same thing, and I really feel for them because I kind of get it. I totally understand. I think classical concerts can be seen as something that like either only really posh people go to or only the older generation go to. No disrespect, love you guys. But this is something that I personally really just want to see smashed to bits, because there are so many concerts out there of film music, game music. The Final Fantasy concerts sold out the Albert Hall for very good reason. That music is incredible. So if you're kind of thinking like, oh, I really want to go to a classical music concert, or you're just like curious as to what the heck goes on there, go for it. Book into one of those concerts. If you're in Cardiff, there's a load coming up on film music and particularly like Lord of the Rings soundtracks. That soundtrack is potentially up for winning the best movie soundtrack of all time. That is how incredible this music is. And I just think it just needs to be embraced more. I'm going on a rant. Sorry, I'll get back to the point. The when to clap and when not to clap thing. Okay, so this really comes from symphonies, which are longer classical musical works, which are split up into different sections. So generally they're 4 movements long. Some people like to mess with this, which again, does not help the whole clapping scenario. And it's traditional not to clap in between the movements. The orchestra will finish and kind of have a little bit of a like move around and relax, and the whole audience sounds like they're dying of bubonic plague. I mean, not that many people have coughs. Surely not. Anyway, generally it's agreed that people do not clap in between these movements so that the whole work can be enjoyed in its entirety without kind of the distraction and the breakup, because often these movements will lead on from each other, and if you kind of have a load of applause in the middle, it kind of breaks the atmosphere. So that's the reason why. There's a lot of debate again as to whether this is just quite a snobby thing to do and maybe we should not worry about it so much, but to be honest, it's such an ingrained tradition now that I don't think it's going anywhere. And also, I quite like it. As a player, I kind of want to keep going. Not only because I want to finish and go home, but because they often lead on from each other. So if you have that big break, it's difficult to mentally get back in. So I would say with this one, easy solution is just wait until the conductor turns around. Because so they will not turn around and acknowledge the audience behind them until the end of the symphony, and then you can clap as much as you like. In fact, the more you clap, the happier it makes us. In regards with what to wear whatever you like. Seriously, nobody minds. And if they do mind, they are not worth your time. Okay, You're best buds with loads of famous people. Short answer is no, not at all. We're lucky if they acknowledge us half the time. We often do gigs or concerts where the singer is a famous person, or you might go on a tour with a pop star, something like that. Just because we're in their band does not mean that we actually get any one-on-one time to chat with them. So unfortunately, no, I do not have loads of famous friends. So this is the one that I get the most, and it rant incoming, just to warn you. And it's impossible to make a living. Now, as a musician, obviously. Now this is something which I get all the time. So the most common response when I meet somebody for the first time, they ask me what I do and I say, oh, I'm a freelance musician. I play the viola, mainly classical and orchestral and blah, 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 and I give the spiel. The most common reply is they always look a bit surprised and they go, oh, can you like get paid doing that? Can you make enough money doing that? And not only is this response incredibly patronizing, but it also displays kind of the real ignorance that there is in society in general over how much it is appropriate to pay a musician. Now, we do have the Musicians Union, the MU, and they have very, very strict rules on this for a reason, because musicians are constantly being taken advantage of by people thinking that they don't pay them that much. And I always use the example of like, how much would you earn in a day? A string quartet playing at a wedding will charge enough for each person in that group to make a full day's wage. Because yes, okay, they may only be at your wedding for 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes it's a lot longer. We're averaging here. But by the time they've gotten to the venue, set up, played, packed down, left, gone home again, that will probably be the only work that they can take that day, unless they then get something in the evening. But like I said, generally it's going to be the only thing. So when you put it into that perspective, it doesn't seem like quite such a ridiculous amount of money anymore. It's also covering the travel to and from the gig, the cost of what it actually takes to become a pro musician, and spoiler, it's a lot of time and a lot of effort, and then also the insurance and the cost of the instruments themselves. For string players, a professional instrument can start at about 10 grand and go up to the stratosphere. These instruments and this equipment is incredibly costly, and we have to cover those costs. We can argue how much a living is till the cows come home, but at the end of the day, I would argue that I get to do something that I love for a living. Like, I get to do this for my job, and I pray that I will never ever lose that. And I've always said that the day I lose that is the day I go do something else, because this job is incredible and so special that I don't want to lose the magic of that. So yeah, in short, trying to de-rant. Yes, you can absolutely do this for a living. You can support yourself. It's not always easy, and particularly when you're freelance, there are months where you do not earn as much as you did the month before. Or again, there's months where you earn 3 times the amount you earned the month before. And that's just a case of being on top of your finances, good at managing your money, and we're all good. But yes, to the next person that says, oh, you can make a living out of that, you're lucky I'm nice. I'm not gonna slap you. So that's basically the main ones that kept coming up. If you have any more, or you've heard of any more, again, as always, let me know. Comment them, send me a message, whatever, and I would love to hear them, because I quite enjoy clearing them up. There's quite a few out there, and I don't think you'll never be the only person thinking it. So takeaways from this are, go see a classical music concert. Wear whatever you want, nobody will care, in the nicest possible way. I mean, you know, if you want to dress up, go for it. If you are somebody who thinks that musicians can't earn any money, or if that's putting you off going into this industry, please have some confidence in yourself. You can absolutely do this. Like, I'm living proof of it. I have thousands of colleagues doing this every day who are making a living out of it. You just have to be a bit organized, a bit proactive, and you have to practice quite a lot. Sorry about that. Like I said before, if you have ever encountered somebody who is a snobby, up their own butt musician, I'm really, really sorry. The rest of us don't like them either. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope that was entertaining and mildly insightful. All of this is my own opinions and my own take on these things. If you disagree with them, again, please feel free to. Like, I don't mind, it's gonna be fun. So comment them below. I will see you in the next one. Bye.